Hi and welcome to my booktube channel. My name is Sam and today I wanted to talk to you about another sci-fi book. Now, just briefly, I am doing a kind of resolution for 2024 where I want to read more sci-fi books, and I have a whole playlist called My Year of Sci-Fi, and I have also been doing a buddy read with Emily and Elizabeth over on Instagram where we pick a book a month and we talk about it, and I was supposed to have been doing a video for each book, but so far I've already done January, which was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so I need to start catching up. And where better to start than July, which has just happened. And July's pick was a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine. Now, this video is going to consist of a non-spoilery section and a spoilery section, so feel free to click off if you haven't read this yet and you're just here for non-spoilery thoughts, or stick around for the spoilers as well if you want to, and we can discuss it all down below in the comments as well. So a memory called Empire follows Mahit, who is sent to Tixkalon, which is the epicenter of this galactic empire, and she is sent as a replacement ambassador for her predecessor, who mysteriously died of food poisoning. Now, the circumstances of this death seem very suspicious, and when secrets start to reveal themselves to Mahit, she has to uncover what really happened. However, this will threaten her and her people and the empire as a whole. So yeah, I hope that was a really justifiable summary. But yeah, we basically follow Mahit as she kind of uncovers this political mystery. There's a lot of political intrigue. It's very much like the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, where everything is kind of politically motivated, and it's kind of what can you do for me, and how can this affect how people see you, and it's very politically based and very political focused, and I think that was a really strong point of this book. I think it wants to do a political story, and it did a political story, and I think it did it right. We also, this is my non-spoilery section, by the way, my non-spoilery thoughts. It did a really interesting dissection of ideas of empire and put this within a galactic scale, and how this would play out in kind of a galaxy setting of like planets taking over planets. However, I will say within that aspect, I do think it could have been done a bit better, because we mainly prioritize Tixkalon and Mahit's people within the space stations, but we never really see any other planets. We get kind of asides and kind of mentions of other planets within this empire, but I think overall it very much felt like there was only two people in this relationship. There was not an empire, in my opinion. I couldn't really see it. I only really saw Tixkalon and Mahit. It wasn't really that was kind of a bit lacking, and that's one of the reasons why I put it down to 4 stars rather than 5 stars. But yeah, it has a really interesting idealization and representation of empire and utopias, and kind of the dark side of colonization, and these very hard and heavy topics I think were explored really well, besides the kind of lacking scope aspect that I just mentioned. But in terms of the relationship between the Tixkalons and Mahit, I thought that was done really well. This book is also, I will say, very hard to get into. I remember when I was reading the prologue and then the first 2 chapters, I put into the group chat with them and Elizabeth, and I was like, guys, I don't think I'm gonna like this one. I think this is not gonna be for me, because I didn't know what was going on. It dumps you very quickly into kind of the world building, and there's loads of big words and unfamiliar names, and it is very kind of overwhelming, and I will say I was lost. I didn't know what was happening, and that did kind of continue throughout the book, but mainly for the interludes. Once Mahit got to the planet and saw the body of her predecessor, and things started to unravel with these seemingly mysterious relationships he had with people within the court, as soon as that mystery started, I was kind of enthralled, and I was like, okay guys, I was wrong, I'm really enjoying this one, this is brilliant. And I got really into that political story. But I will say my confusion kind of seeded itself within the interludes. There were interludes within the story, and I will say I have no idea what they were on about. I don't know what happened in the interludes. It wasn't Mahit, it was someone I think on Mahit's planet, and they were like, maybe it was a flashbacks or something. I don't know. I didn't understand them at all. I was just sat there reading them like, what is going on? So that is the second reason why I knocked it down from 5 stars. I was like, there's huge sections of this book where I just don't know what's going on, so I can't really rate it 5 stars. But yeah, other than that, I think it was a really enjoyable book. So I think if you're gonna read it, bear in mind that it's gonna be hard to get into, and just be open-minded and just wait for it to kind of click, because it will click. as soon as the political stuff starts. But yeah, non-spoilery sections. I really enjoyed the characters. There's a specific side character you get introduced to very early on called 3C Grass, and she is kind of Mahit's assistant on this planet. And I loved 3C Grass, and I don't want to say anymore because spoiler section. But yeah, 3C Grass was a very interesting character, and I really enjoyed her. And I liked her kind of time with Mahit and kind of how Mahit kind of hot-headedness and stubbornness kind of clashed with 3C Grass's openness and innocence, and adorably cute innocence. That's how I would describe 3C Grass. She's adorably innocent. And I kind of like how that kind of clashed with Mahit, but they kind of formed that kind of bond between themselves, with 3C Grass being one of the only people that Mahit could eventually trust. I will say I will definitely be picking up the second book in this duology. I'm so glad it's a duology and not a series. I love duologies because they feel like you can just read them and enjoy them. Whereas a series is like, oh, the next book is out in 3 years, gotta wait for it. But yeah, this is a duology as well, and I'm going to definitely pick up the second one, and I might do a video on that as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. They're my non-spoilery thoughts. I definitely recommend this book, so if you want to read this, click off now. I'm going to spoil a bunch of major things. So yeah, go read this and come back, and we can discuss in the comments below. Okay, let's get on to the spoilers. Okay, so spoilers. Now, I'm going to avoid my usual break down the plot kind of way of saying this, because I feel like that makes my videos overly long, and maybe if you're in the spoiler section you already know what happens, so I don't need to break down the plot. So let's just dive in and out, and you can try and keep along with me. So I'm going to go straight to the end first. I'm going to go straight to the end because that is where the most poignant thing happens with 3C Grass, who is my favourite character. Now, her and Mahit's relationship kind of heats up. They become kind of more romantically involved, and there's some flirting, and there's a really cute moment where 12 Azalea is kind of a side character, and he's kind of friends with Mahit and 3C Grass on the way, and he had a really funny line where he was like, are you gonna keep flirting, guys? We're in the middle of a political we're in the middle of a political queue and you're just sat there flirting. And they were like, no, we're not flirting. And I thought was really cute. But yeah, right at the end, when their relationship breaks down, because 3C Grass reveals her kind of, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just kind of that ingrained prejudice that she had, and that kind of ingrained racism she had towards Mahit and anyone that wasn't Tix Colonian or whatever they called themselves. Because she says to Mahit, I would still love you even if you were one of us. And then Mahit's like, hold up, one of us. And that kind of really off-puts Mahit, because it kind of rings that alarm of like, so you don't even see us as equals. You see that there is a difference between us, and you can't overlook that even with love. And Mahit is very put back, and it was like heartbreaking, because it was like, I understand that 3C Grass didn't necessarily mean it to be offensive, but it's just that it is offensive, and it is wrong to kind of separate based on just where you come from. And I thought that was a really interesting aspect that Martine explored, was that ingrained prejudice, and it does come up throughout the book as well, but that was kind of the boiling point of it for 3C Grass specifically. And I'm very intrigued to see where this relationship will go in the future. Will 3C Grass atone for this mistake and have learned her mistakes and what is right and what is wrong? And will Mahit forgive her? I don't know. I kind of feel like Mahit is going to learn to forgive her, because when we see Mahit go home at the end and she gets back to the station because she gets asked to be sent back home after 3C Grass has thoroughly made her uncomfortable, she goes home, and then she gets home and she's like, it doesn't quite feel like home, and then it ends, and it's like, oh, so we can see that she has kind of this split kind of feeling. She wants to be in Tixcalan with those people that she's just made relationships with, but she also wants to go home, but home doesn't feel like home anymore. I'm very interested to see where that will go in the sequel. I'm very much predicting that she'll just go back to that planet and she'll live down there, because I don't know, we didn't really see much of her at home. We never really saw her people that often. It was just Mahit that we saw, and Yuskonda, who was her predecessor. So that's another aspect of that kind of like lacking world building. So I'm a bit stupid, and I kind of forgot to mention that you do actually see it in the interludes, but my issue was I didn't understand the interludes. They're went straight off my head basically. Because I think the world building surrounding the city where they were, and the kind of interface and the AI aspects of the city were really well done. But I think other than Tixcalan, nothing was really developed. I really don't know anything about Mahit and her society other than they mine asteroids and don't want to be annexed by a colonizing power. That's all I know about them. Whereas Tixcalon, you've got, oh, the city is like this big AI thing and the police are part of it, and if you can interface with the thing, and there's this unrest within the city as well. People don't really want to be in the city, and you know a lot about that, but you don't know much about anything else or any of the other planets. And I think that kind of comes to a detriment as well, especially with the kind of reveal of Mahit using kind of the whole thing with Mahit is like, oh, there's bigger alien threats that you need to focus the Empire on rather than annexing my people. And that's kind of how they escape the annexation. But I think that lacking it in development is kind of detriments that kind of big stakes. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but just the fact that we don't really know much about the universe kind of made that reveal less impactful. It's like, oh yeah, there's alien. They don't even have like a name for these alien invaders. They're just like, there's bigger threats out there, and here are their coordinates. Now I'll give you them if you don't annex me. It kind of was like, okay, I'm being very negative. I did like this book, I promise. But the main thing I did like was the relationship between Mahit, 3 Seagrass, and 12 Azealia. And they had these really cute nicknames specifically for 3 Seagrass and 12 Azalea, because Azalea is a flower and 3 Seagrass is a root. So they would kind of be like, they would call each other root and petal, and that was so cute because petal and flower, root and grass. It was so cute, and every time it happened, I was like, it made my heart go like that because it was just so cute and natural. It was like, oh yeah, petal, and it was like, okay, but I really like that relationship between those two and Mahit as the kind of outsider coming in and be like, hey guys, can you kind of explain things to me, please? But yeah, and the whole thing with the names on Tixcalon being a number and kind of something of significance to you was very interesting, but it also kind of made it hard because there was so many names. There was like 19 ads. There was one that I need to say something about. There's a handmaiden to 19 ads who's kind of like a high courtier that's part of the plot and later becomes the new emperor. She kind of has kind of like a sidekick called 5A-Gate. 5A-Gate. Now I have to pronunciate this because as I listened to the audiobook alongside reading this book, the narrator, I don't know, maybe it's because I had it on 2 times speed, because that's just how I listen to audiobooks. But it very much sounded like the F slur for queer people. 5A-Gate. You probably can infer what I'm saying it sounded like, but the narrator said it very much like that, and every time it came up I was like, oh, interesting. And I don't really know why it had to be, like, you could have named this person anything else. 5 book, 5 frame, 5 car, whatever, but why did it have to be 5A-Gate? It just doesn't sound right. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But this whole thing with the names I found very interesting. It was like the number, the lower it is, the more significance it has, but you can't have a low number all the time. And there's petal, it has to be a specific object they use, like it can't be anything, it has to be like a flower or something specific. It was very interesting, that kind of part of the world building. Like I said, it was more developed on Tixcalon, the development around that. But yeah, I just wanted more world development for other people, you know? This section where we see the political coup at the end, where everything's going to chaos, I really feel bad because we got to that shootout section with 5A-Gate comes to rescue them from the political building, and then a gunman appears and they're like, oh my god, a projectile weapon. I don't know why they don't just say gun, but they got a projectile weapon, and we haven't seen them like at all really, so it's like this big thing. And I was like, please don't kill 3 Seagrass, shoot 12 Azalea, don't kill 3 Seagrass. And then they shoot 12 Azalea and he dies, he bleeds out on the floor, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I felt so responsible for that because I was literally like, kill him please, don't kill 3 Seagrass, because I was so invested in 3 Seagrass and Mahit. And 12 Azalea is killed and shot and bleeding out on the floor, and they just leave him, and that's the last we see of him. And I felt so bad. I felt personally responsible for his death, so I apologise. yeah, it just died, and I was so shocked. And the 5 Agate gets shot as well, but she survives. Obviously, lucky. I should have asked for her to die. I'm so sorry, guys. I let the team down, but I mean, she has a kid, so I guess she should survive to be with her kids. But that was such a shocking moment and so sad. I really liked how 19 Ads kind of started off as this kind of dangerous person. We don't really want to interact with her too much. She's using you, to then her becoming kind of the savior for us, and us kind of using her. Really like that flip. And I really like the connection between I haven't even talked about Yaskonda, and that's the whole mystery, but I really like the Yaskonda reveal. Like, it was this kind of three-way relationship of like these really close friends slash lovers, that had to kill each other to kind of save their own empire. So it's revealed that 19 Ads let Yaskonda be poisoned or die, and she didn't help him because he was trying to make a deal with the Emperor, who we found out he had a relationship with as well. So we got queers everywhere, um, and he was trying to make a deal with the Emperor to kind of Amigo machines. Basically, I haven't even mentioned the Amigo machines. What am I doing here? But the Amigo machines are basically Mahit's people's thing, where they have machines in the back of their head that kind of collect all that person's memories and all their knowledge, and then when they die, that machine is put into someone else that has kind of a similar personality slash bond with them, and it's kind of keeps that knowledge within the people, because them being spaceborne, they can't really waste resources, and they see knowledge as a resource. So this is a way of them passing on the knowledge, and it also is a kind of way for that person to survive, because when the machine is inside the head, the person can hear the other person talking, and obviously they have all their knowledge. It kind of just comes to them as if they'd all had it. But that comes up in the start with Mahit can't access Yaskonda. He kind of sees his dead body and then disappears, and it was like all malfunctioned. We'll get back onto that in a sec. But anyway, 19 Ad's relationship, where she let Yaskonda die because he was trying to make a deal with giving the Emperor one of these Emigo machines so that the Emperor could be immortal, because the Emperor didn't really understand how they worked. He thought that he could have his whole consciousness on this machine and then put it in his grandkid and like kind of kill his grandkid and take over his grandkid's body. That's how he thought it worked. And 19 Ads was not having that, because she didn't want like a dictatorship, so she let him die. And I thought that was so heartbreaking. And then we kind of see her repent for that by helping Mahit rather than letting Mahit die. She kind of helps guide Mahit and avoid what she'd let Yaskonda die to protect, blah blah blah. And then she becomes the Emperor at the end, because the Emperor's like, you know what, I accept immortality's not real, I'm really ill, I'm gonna die anyway. And then he just like slits his wrists and all his arteries, and it's like, okay dude, a bit extreme, but okay. He let 9 Ads be the new Emperor until his grandkid becomes of age. Yeah. Now, I didn't mention that 19 Ads is still a very suspicious character. She has this seeded kind of political motivation, so we don't quite know if we can trust her, whether she influenced the Emperor to unalive himself. And after talking to Elizabeth, I'm very much more in this camp of like, maybe we can't actually trust her. But I was trying to be positive at the time, okay? That whole reveal of like the relationships between Yaskonda, 19 Ads, and the Emperor, six directions or something, whatever his name was. I really like that. Now, going back to the Emigo machines, this is my last point, I think, but going back to the section with the Emigo machines, where she finds out that she needs Yaskonda's memories to kind of decode this message she had from her space people. She'd gone to her people and she'd be like, hey, can you tell me what to do here? Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And they'd sent back a message, but half of it was coded in something only Yaskonda would know, so she needed to be able to access him, but she couldn't. So she has to have 12 Azalea take out the dead Yaskonda's chip from his dead body, and then she's going to put it in her, and they go to like a sketchy back alley surgeon to do it. And I like that whole section as well. And then there's like this one chapter where it takes place within Mahit's head, and it's the dead Yaskonda from the dead Emigo, and kind of his preserved memories from 15 years ago, and then her current Emigo that had just been taken out that had current him in. And there's like 3 of them, and it's a 3-way talk about what's going on. I really like that whole section. It was really cool. I like the interactions between the 2 Yaskondas and Mahit as well. That was such a cool sequence. And then also the surgeon being part of the resurgence and the rebellion was really cool as well. There's like a whole rebellion against the city because a bunch of the population don't agree with the annexation of Mahit's people, so they're like, no, you can't do this is illegal, the empire has bigger threats. So they don't really care about Mahit's people anyway. They more care about, oh, the empire has better things to do, which is not what we want, but I guess it works. So they're part of the rebellion, and that's how the whole queue starts. But yeah, I think I've talked enough. I think that's enough spoilery sections. If you want to know more, we can talk in the comments. But yeah, that's all my non-spoilery thoughts. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want my thoughts on anything, or you want to expand on anything that I've said, leave it down in the comments below. We can chit chat about this book. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a 4-star read. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I will catch up all my other Divided by 3 buddy read reviews. We've got loads of books. We've got Combat Codes, The Chilling Effect, Ascension, Floating Hotel. What are the other books that we've read? Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. We've got loads of books that I need to catch up on, so I'll get onto that. But this is the July read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Next video will be a vlog, maybe. No, I think it's a reading vlog first. Okay, bye!